All right, Mr. Patrick. The screen has been shared, please. You can start now. I'm ready to prospect.
Channel subscribe. Subscribe button press பண்ணுங்க.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Sorry for the inconvenience. I didn't expect that to do. I wasn't expecting to present, but I was given the opportunity. Nevertheless, we are looking at today Facebook implementation, Facebook login, and Ionic apps. That is what we are looking into this morning. And my name is Ijoma Jacob. Next slide, please. So we just have a few content here with the little time we have to spend together to share this knowledge. We look at a problem, then look at the end of use for the embedded browser. Then look at an alternative, see the role of SDK in making this implementation of Facebook login work. Then some piece of plugins that we need. Am I still on? Can you still hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. A piece of plugin that we need to implement to make this work. Then also have some library to add up to it. So next slide, please. So at the end of this, get some key parts that are involved in this implementation. Know the tools that are needed to do the work. And also know the way to implement Facebook login in Ionic app. Next, please. All right, the problem. There was a problem. That was last year, by August. Facebook announced that there will be a discontinuity with WebView, trying to access Facebook resources using WebView for most of the applications worldwide. Then developers have to start looking for what to do in order to get started. Because anyone using Facebook as a means of authentication and login for his or her business knows the role that plays and impact it will have if he neglects such an announcement. And on September, they discontinued the WebView. And they had a reason for that. Number one, trust. 2, security. 3, hacking. They wanted a trust on their platform. They wanted a level of security when accessing their platform from any source. And they want to prevent hacking. Next. So, other apps could access Facebook depending on the means they use to access it. Your apps could still log in, but as for Facebook, there was end of use for embedded browser. Now, what's embedded browser? Now, when you handle your app, you tap an external link. It is actually meant to open an external link in your application. If you build an application, it will be a tedious work and a diversion of purpose when you want to build an app for a particular purpose, maybe for a fintech organization, just as social lender or any other organization. And there is need for you to open external links. Tap on an external link, connect to other servers and all that. The need for browser becomes important. Now you leaving your fintech solution you want to provide and also building a special browser that will work together with your solution, with your app. It becomes more or less like a diversion of purpose. Therefore, there are browsers that have been designed, built, that you can actually interact through the APIs, and you just open external link on those browsers. And those are WebViews, embedded browsers, and there are companies that owns those little organizations. You may not know. when you handle LinkedIn app, you tap on a link, it leads you out of there, out of the LinkedIn app to another browser to open that external link. It's not actually making use of the LinkedIn app to open it. It's making use of another browser entirely, and that's embedded browser. And there is a lot of
trends, so you don't have to worry about
they're not working with
choosing an
that. Next slide, please.
Our stylists wear a minimum of
What's
2
the alternative?
pieces
Next slide.
of 4 footwear, and each
The alternative
must
becomes
pass
Chrome Custom Tab
our family.
or making use of Facebook Release SDK in order to achieve that. Now, you know, Chrome belongs to Google, and Google has a kind of integrity stuff when it comes to online activities. They want to bring trust, integrity, and a lot of security into online activities. And for that purpose, we have a custom tab as well. That other apps, other developers building app for other solutions can actually use custom tab to open external link, and it is not secure. There's no trust.
Latest trends based on your unique style profile.
Somebody
Mama,
said,
you need to mute yourself.
all right, thank you. All right, so there's Chrome custom tab for that. So Facebook were recommending that is more secure than the web view, that you should go with that. So it now boils down to the developers of different kinds of application, whether it's the Xamarin, the Ionic apps, and the Android apps, different technologies that are being used to build mobile apps have to find a way in order to get their Facebook login or authentication into the application with the use of Chrome custom tab or any tab that is more secure, any external browser that is more secure that Facebook will approve. Next, so Chrome custom tab becomes an alternative. Now, we now need to make use of SDK. Facebook provided an SDK. Okay, make use of this SDK, and it simply means software development kit. A kit, some keys that you need in order to develop a software. So it's rather a software development kit, and there's a lot of stuff in there. Then implementing that in Ionic app is a different thing entirely. Next slide, please. All right. Next slide. I've explained this. It's simply a kit. And now, in the Ionic world, also trying to implement such requires building a plugin. And these are the two notable plugins that have been designed. And those plugins were built using the Facebook SDK to build it. And those plugins are designed in such a way that it will implement a Facebook a recent Facebook SDK. But in a practical terms, it was not. That Facebook have to develop their SDK up to a certain version. But when you implement the plugin, there's need for you to specify the SDK. For our own case, for Social Lender, as a case study, they have the app accessing Facebook before September, when the announcement was, when the implementation from Facebook started, it was logging in normally. But after that, Facebook shut it off, so we could not longer log in using a Facebook login. So when you do that, it tells you that you are using an old SDK. You need to update your SDK. And these two plugins was what was designed from Ionic in order to implement such. Next slide. So in order to implement such SDK using the plugin, this command solves the issue. Next slide. And not only that, there's a library that you need to come alongside with it also, which is a node package manager that Node is managing it and released on their website. So with that, with the plugin and this library, we'll be able to implement that Facebook SDK on the app so that there will be access to the Facebook login functionality in any app, especially when it comes to Ionic app. Next slide. And there's need for, why implementing that? Once you put it, you install the plugin. Now I'm taking you through the process that may be required. Install the plugin, install the library as well. Then you generate a key hash. Now this is very important. This key hash, once it's generated on the Facebook portal, the key hash that has been generated have to be submitted. Next slide. With this command. Once you run this command, give it a password. It gives you a key hash. What you are seeing below with an equal sign, that is the key hash. When you plug the key hash into the Facebook portal, it will save it. Then when you launch the login button on your app, Facebook will have to deep link, have to connect your app to their Graph API. With this hash key, the connection becomes seamless and it works fine. And the essence of this key hash is a proof of ownership. When you submit it, it shows that actually you are calling the endpoint and you're having this key hash, and actually you are the one that owns the app. It shows a proof of ownership as well, and not just only for connection, but ownership. Next slide. Then these are a lot of bits of code that we need to implement on the app module. Of course, when we are talking of Ionic app, the framework inside is actually Angular. And you can say app module here, which is a basic module that controls the flow of data in every Angular app. Next slide. Then we'll go to the home.tx. Of course, when we say home.tx, we mean the home page, the functionality aspect of the home page that will handle most of the actions that the app need to carry out. And that is the home.tx. The code that you usually need to run for the home page when you tap the button for the login is the home.tx, especially in an Angular application. It's a TypeScript file. Once the Facebook is imported from the library, then this is dependency injection. You say FB, Facebook, passing it to a variable, FB, you call it, we'll get to it as dependency injection in Angular. Next slide, please. And this is a constructor. And in the home.tx, we implement the Facebook a variable that will have to handle the login and find the state of the login, whether is the login false or the login true. Once that is implemented, so this is the code that tells us the state of the login. Once everything has been done, this code is at the background. So when you tap it, when you tap the Facebook login, if it's false, of course, it won't be login. The login will not perform. But if the login is true, definitely it will. And whatever data that comes, your Facebook ID, Facebook name, Facebook email, picture, comes back with it. Then we take that data that comes back from the response that comes back from the API, we'll store it up, keep it in a user's variable here. Next slide, please. Then the status of the login from the response. But say we also log out our response.status to really know the status of login. Now, if the status can be connected. If it's strictly connected, we know that it has connected. Automatically, the next code I will run is this dot is login true, and it's a Boolean value. So once it is true, it will route you into your app. But once it is false, definitely it will not route you into moving from the home page to whichever dashboard your app needs to move to. So this is still under the home.ts. Next. All right. So this is actually the Facebook login, the code that actually executes, calling the Graph API, picking your profiles, the profiles that are the data that are for public that you can actually share. Though in your Facebook, some people have their date of birth and all that, but that is not shared. Some people cannot share it. But their profile, emails can be shared. It's for public. So those assets you have given there, once you implement the login, those data will be pulled, will be part of the data that comes from the login. And yes, get user details. Here also, this is the Graph API that will be called, passing in the ID, the email, the name, and the picture. If you are logging in with it, it has to pick your ID, pick your email, name, and picture, and also pass to. So this function or method actually gets your data if it is successful. Next, if it is not, it logs out an error. So this is a logout functionality for that. Definitely, if you log into an app, definitely you have to log out. So this is the component, actually, the interface that creates the user interface where you interact with this. And once you tap your login, it picks your data, user.name. That's an object here. On the lower part of it there, you will see user.name. And it's actually, this is called interpolation in Angular, actually. You are picking the user and you are accessing the name. Remember, the user is a variable that contains name, ID, and picture. So here we're picking the name. Next slide, please. And user.email at the top line there, you see user.email, picking the email of the user. Then the third line there, you are seeing user.picture.data.url, picking the URL of the user and displaying the picture on the application. And that is when the login is successful. All right, next slide. It still continues, still part of what creates the interface. But after we have implemented all this, we need to build it into an Android app and run it with Ionic Cordova build Android. Adding the platform, we run it with Ionic Cordova add Android. And once the Android platform is added, you can go ahead to build the app into an application. Then you can install it to your phone and test. Next slide. Those are the two commands, done. And in summary, we'll be able to look at what, in a quick, you'll be able to look at what it takes to implement a Facebook login in an Ionic app. And I don't know whether there's any question with regards to this. And in a summary, using the SDK is a bit easier than just interacting with API, because Facebook designed the SDK to customize their interface. You don't need to design the interface as such, stressing yourself and all that. It customizes their interface, their colors, their integrity, everything is well suited out. Next slide, please. Then when that is done, this is just a bit of screenshots of the implementation screens and the rest. Then when that is successful and you're able to log in, Facebook sends you a notification on your Facebook account telling you that you logged in with so app. That is what you see being circled. Login with so app at so date on your notification. And when you push for that notification, it tells you, do you want to discontinue the use this app from logging into your account? So they give you that option and choice to make use of, to express your liberty or choice, whatever app that logs into your account. So thank you everybody for listening. Is there any question for me?
Thank you, Jacob, for the wonderful presentation. And let's check first if the second speaker is available. Please, Mr. Fakbonda, are you available? All right, seems it's not available. So Okay, the second speaker is not available, so we can have, we have questions for Mr. Jacob. Is this the time for you to ask your questions now? So if you have questions to ask your questions now. All right. And Mr. Jacob, if there is no question, you can actually ask questions also.
All right.
Yeah, you can ask people questions. Just select someone and ask them
Please,
questions.
okay. Henry, are you there?
Henry is not on the call.
Henry is not on the call. Oh, all right. Okay, Mohammed. Or we should go with somebody that is not technically inclined. Faith Obilo. Is she there?
Yeah, she's on the call.
Please, can you give us the meaning of SDK? If he's not responding, okay, Tohan can help us. I know Tohan can always have something. SDK.
So I don't have anything to do. Me, I'm thinking of going to rewatch this thing on YouTube.
All right.
Hello, Jacob. SDK is. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, SDK is software development kit.
Thank you very much. Just a piece of kit for developing operating with some software. All right. Ajani. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. Nuruddin.
Hello.
Oh, thank you very much. Can you remember any command? The command we used to build into APK that can install on our phone.
You mentioned the Node something, but I don't recall.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Patrick.
Yes, Mr. Jacob.
Yes. Which command can we use to build into an APK?
Build what?
Build our solution, our apps, web apps into an APK that we can install on our phone.
Okay, I wasn't paying attention to it. I was just focused on what you did.
All right. Yes. So we actually use Inocoreva build Android. And we can use that to build for Android. We can also use it to build for iOS. So thank you very much for listening. And I've come to the end of the presentation for today. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Jacob, for the presentation. And thank you for joining in today's presentation. And I know that all of us have gained something new and gotten something from today. Without any further questions and any other person to discuss, we have come to the end of today's knowledge development. Hope to see you tomorrow. Thank you. So we can leave now.